meeting in the City Council. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Krupa. Here. Councilmember Meyer. Here. Councilmember Percival.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Mayor Wright.
Here. Communications from the public. Anyone who wishes to address the council regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. As a courtesy, please. If you do speak, please give your name and address to the city clerk. You'll have 3 minutes, and anybody wishing to speak, let the city clerk know, and if not, we will move on.
Under communications, this one, or under the closed session?
Not in the closed session.
Okay. So Sue Savage would like to speak.
Yeah. Can we just tell you and have a little papers?
Sue Savage would like to speak.
Under this right now, or
under communications from the public?
Okay.
Yes.
I want both. Bob Chad.
Okay. So Sue Salvage will be your first speaker, followed by Stacy Olson.
Will speak at the River. We have another one, Sarah. Kathleen Marquez.
Okay, thank you.
Sue Savage.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Sue Savage. My address is 244 Orchard Avenue. I live in Councilwoman Myers District 1. I have not lived in the city forever, as is some of the people in this room. I have, however, lived here long enough to know that the number of city managers that have moved through these council meetings is noted by not only the city of Hemet, but noted by the state of California. The last audit was a major concern for that, and they strongly encouraged city council to do something about it, and that was in 2015. 3 years ago, at that time, I don't believe Russ Brown or Carly Meyer or Mr. Percival were on city council, leaving 2 persons. So 2 persons do not make a decision-making group. However, during that leadership of 2 persons, we had that issue. I don't know what the issue is today. It concerns me that he's been here for, a year and a couple of months, and already out the door. So I don't know if it's that they learned something about the city and then they're asked to leave. I don't know what the deal is, but it is a concern to the citizens. And you hear me say all the time, I'm going to do something about it, and I am doing something about it, and will continue to do something about it. So please hear me when I say it's important to keep your city managers. Thank you very much. Sue Savage is my name.
Thank you, Sue.
Next speaker is Stacy Olson.
I wrote mine down. I'm not good like you. I'm somewhat confused. Oh, Stacy Olson, 182 La Almas Highway in Hemet. I'm somewhat confused, as are other citizens, as to why you're choosing to fire City Manager Alan Parker, who's been the first city manager in over a decade to balance our budget. Considering the state auditor red flagged our city for extreme staff turnover, I am amazed that you would choose to fire him rather than to work with him to resolve any performance issues, if indeed that is actually the reason for his dismissal. Our city over the last 10 years has blown through approximately 11 to 12 city managers, whether they be interim or permanent. They are either fired or they resign. My question is why? I can understand 1 or 2 resigning over a long history of time, but what makes them all want to leave? And why did our last city manager, Mr. Meyerhoff, receive a severance package if he was already resigning? He received 2 months' salary plus accrued time off, which is easily over $34,000. Is that standard practice to pay someone to leave if they are already leaving on their own? And how much will this cost the city for Mr. Parker's severance package? Why was Mr. Parker put on paid administrative leave while he was being reviewed? Could he not work while being reviewed? More money spent with nothing in return. I feel that's reckless. Linda Krupa stated when Parker was hired as interim, Mr. Parker is exactly what this city needs at this time, citing his leadership skills and consensus-building ability. She was impressed with how he helped San Bernardino through bankruptcy as Hemet deals with its own financial issues, including being listed by the state auditor as a city in financial distress. She said, I don't think he's afraid of dealing with some tough issues. City Councilwoman Bonnie Wright stated when hiring Parker, we did not take this decision lightly. We're looking for someone with strong leadership skills, someone who could move this city forward. We must get someone in place as soon as possible. The lack of direction has taken place, with the lack of direction taken place in the last 6 months, it must be corrected. What happened? Has Parker been given enough time to do his job without interference from council? I've heard that he's being let go for a lack of performance to get the job done. If that is the case, then I would suggest certain council members have their own performances reviewed. Perhaps council members are the common denominator in what's wrong. Once again, our city is left without any real direction. If council members are to represent the people, I can tell you we the people are not happy with this decision. You are not acting on our behalf, but rather your own. I leave you with this. In the book of Matthew, it says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly how to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Thank you for your time.
Next one would be Bob Chad.
Chad?
Yeah, I ditto. 1909 Balsawood Drive, Seven Hills. I come from a background of project management in the private sector. And I can say in the private sector, if I did this, I would have never had a job. Well, I wouldn't have been able to work anywhere. Now, the city council is not paid, but they do operate at the community's best interest. The thing that I find odd is Mr. Parker being let go in the middle of a budget process. That really creates a little confusion. Who is going to create the budget after Mr. Parker? Is there a deficit? There was a deficit and there wasn't. So the financial end of it really makes me wonder just how fiscally responsible we are being, our elected officials. As I said in the post that I wrote, as a project manager myself, if I did this, I would fire myself. And I urge the people that have been responsible for this over the years, not this last time, over the years, the common denominator that we're talking about. Who keeps hiring themselves and who keeps hiring them at our expense? I might add that whatever Mr. Parker's severance is going to be will be added on top of the new city manager's acting city manager's salary. So in fact, we're paying for two. How many times has that happened over the 12 years? When you approach city council for an issue, you're probably told we don't have the funding. Well, if we keep throwing money away like this, we're never going to have the funding. I just urge you, if you have been part of this, you feel you're responsible, please identify your reasoning so we, the people, can have an understanding of just what you're doing for us. Thank you.
And Kathleen Murphy.
I'm Kathleen. I live at 40773 Johnson Avenue. And I just have some concerns about the state audit because there was never a follow-up meeting, from what I understand, that was supposed to happen. And the three key things that were said were still pending. When I looked it up on the internet or whatever, it said the one was turnover of key positions, lack of consistent leadership, so this is part of that. Inefficient structure of city government, that's part of that. And lack of coordinated approach to promote community engagement. So I don't go to a whole lot of meetings. I do go to some, but I think it's very important because these three are still pending in that audit. And my question is, what is the outcome? I did call the state controller's office just to ask. She did call me back. I missed the call, but she said, call her back. So I'm hoping that I can get some answers from that part of it because I'm concerned about that state audit still not being completed. And then this happens and we just all wonder because it does cost us money. And the town seems like it's just not doing good all over the place, and that's my concern. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more speaker.
A lot of what I'm going to say now has already been said, but it's so important that I think it needs to be reiterated. Gary, since 2015, Wally Hill, Gary Thornhill, Alex Meyerhoff, Alan Parker, and now the new guy. 5 since 2015. The vote to hire Mr. Parker was held at a sneaky meeting like this one. Now you want to vote to fire him with another 24-hour sneaky notice and held in a meeting room that's unusual for the community. Do you realize how ridiculous this looks? I didn't like your selection of Mr. Parker, but I've grown to respect him because he's the only city manager to present a budget where Hemet only spends what it takes in revenue. Now, interestingly enough, as already been said, right at the beginning of the budget process, you want to fire him and bring on someone new, maybe someone who will continue with your bad financial decisions. Why not take the money from the settlement that you were going to use for Mr. Parker, and since you also have to pay for a temporary city manager, use that to address the homeless problem, feed the elderly, fill a couple potholes. Hemet cannot afford all of the bad management decisions that cause Hemet financial distress. By the way, I read Mr. Parker's contract, and it states that you can't fire him within 120 days of seating a new council member. Well, since this is the first time Russ Brown was elected, maybe he's new. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. The state auditors noted that the turnover in city managers was a problem for Hemet as the designated high-risk city. Councilwoman Krupa has been quoted as stating that the lack of leadership is one of Hemet's biggest problems, and that the revolving door of city managers should stop. Is anyone listening? In 2015, Councilwoman Krupa, Councilwoman Wright voted to fire Mr. Hill. Now, once again, Councilwoman Krupa and Mayor Wright voted to put Mr. Parker on leave, and I'm assuming they're going to vote to fire him too. Is it the city manager or these two city council members that need to go? I have no faith in this council, those council members, and I truly wish you would step aside. You are not serving the citizens of heaven, but apparently serving your own agendas. Your bad decisions keep the city in a constant state of chaos. Today, I'm asking you to put the citizens in front of your personal agendas, let Mr. Parker do his job, and get Hemet out of its financial mess. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, next item is closed session.
I have one question for the city attorney that I'd like him to clarify. I believe action was taken before I left the last meeting, and it was not reported out. And so can you clarify that?
The action that was taken was to put the city manager on leave, and that was reported out. You left before the council deliberation.
And I voted on a second and a motion.
And that action wasn't implemented. The council took a different action before you left. And that action we didn't report out.
Just as, so you know, as pursuant to Government Code 54957-185, you can look that up, but it clearly speaks about what items need to be reported out.
Yeah, I'm
I
familiar
have a
with
question
that.
if we are in violation or not. I'm just saying
That's fine.
liability of the city.
We reported out the action that was taken and implemented by the city council.
Thank you.
Okay, notice of opportunity for public comment. Are there any members, a member of the public may comment upon any identified item on the closed session agenda. Since the council's deliberation on these items is confidential, the city council and city staff will not be able to answer or address questions relating to the items other than procedural questions. At the conclusion of the closed session, the city attorney will report out. Is there anybody who wants to speak on the closed session item?
Well, far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, you say we can't say anything other than what the city attorney says. I think some things are privileged and some things probably aren't. The severance package, I think, would be a matter of public knowledge. The reason for it is really a resignation or cause. It's either cause or resignation, one of the two. And that is a fiscal item, financial item. And again, like a transparency on financial issues with this council does not exist. There is no communication to the public. None. Or these people wouldn't be here if we knew what the hell was going on. If you want to do something, tell the people why. You make a mistake, tell the people you made a mistake. You got just cause, tell us just cause. What's it going to cost the taxpayers? That's what I want to know, and I don't think that's privilege from his resignation or waiver, whatever we want to call it. You're the attorney, you correct me if I'm wrong.
City Attorney, would you indicate the discussion and action item on the agenda?
There is an item for public discussion tonight that would approve or not approve an agreement, settlement waiver and release with Alan Parker. If that's approved by the council, all of the terms will be public, the agreement will be public, and they'll take their final action here in this room tonight.
And that'll be presented here, I presume.
Yes, sir.
That's the first time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sarah would. I would just really like to urge the council members to stick it out. I don't know what the issue is, but firing him is not the answer. This turnover is ridiculous. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. We start over again and over again and over again and over again. And every time we start over again, we have to take a bunch of time to tell the new person to get them up to speed, and then they're gone. And then now, boom, here's another one. And we're getting nowhere. We're a hamster on the wheel. I just think whatever it is, between adults working together with a common goal of our city, that if we can work together, if you guys can work together, I'm sure that there can be a way to resolve whatever the issues are with Alan Parker. And I would just urge you to reconsider your decision for the benefit of the city. The citizens of the city are not behind that decision, just so you know. We do not support it. We voted you in, and we're telling you, as your constituents, we are not supporting this decision. Thank you.
We need to announce it.
Okay, I'm Mary Ann Darwin, and I live at 572 Toledo here in Hemet. So there's been a lot of talk on the internet that has been going around ever since this decision was made, and I'm sure there's been some creepers on there that have seen all the comments that have been made for and against. Not everybody is against this, letting him go. Some people are for it. I don't know where they get their information from, but everybody has that option. But we've seen a lot of city managers go through this town, and this town hasn't changed. What happened to the 5-year plan that you voted on over almost a year ago without even Alan Parker being part of that? And yet I haven't seen not one street being fixed. I see potholes or not even that being fixed. I see nothing being fixed in this town. I see no progress in this town at all. Or if there is progress, why isn't it being said? Why aren't we being told? Are you hiding it for some big spectacular event, and then you're going to tell everybody that all these new businesses are coming to town and you've spent all this money? Because we haven't seen it. And we're $1 million in debt. $1 million already on the budget. And now you want to get rid of the city manager? So now you bring in a new person, and he's got to find that $1 million. Is it laying in somebody's pocket somewhere? I'd like to know. Because we could really use the money here in Hemet. We have businesses that are going. The new trampoline center that was going to go by Walmart, saw him taking down the sign Saturday morning. That's no longer gonna be here. And the reason was is because they just didn't see it feasible anymore. So why are we losing business that hasn't even started? And yet San Jacinto is going crazy. Look at their medium. It's beautiful. And what did we do? 3 people went to Sacramento to complain about the medium. And so now, because all you did was piss them off, we get cement. So we don't even get a nice medium. It's going to happen. So you went there to complain. Didn't stop them. So that's what we get. We get nothing but complaints. I think you two would be tired of hearing the complaints and want to see some positive come out of this. Thank you.
I was confused. I said both. I thought there was an open and then discussion from public according to the agenda. Doesn't it say that for items not on the agenda?
Darius, you spoke at both.
Huh?
Didn't you just speak at both?
I didn't speak at this one. They're speaking. I haven't spoke yet.
Okay.
That's why I said both.
Well,
But I thought there were two.
Because you identified the fact that we weren't being transparent, and this is the exact item that we're being transparent on.
I just said I misunderstood,
Okay.
and if
Okay.
my misunderstanding doesn't allow me to speak, we'll go with
You
that.
can speak if you like.
Yeah. My thing, I sent all of you an email here about the homeless task force. Something that's been going on for the 4 years that I've been in this town. About the next meeting of it, when it was scheduled, when there was going to be discussion. The only one I heard back from in that email was Carly Meyer.
That's not on the agenda, though.
Doesn't have to be.
Well,
Says any item other than,
Sir, these
That-
are just
that's
the
already passed.
closed session items. When we come back into public session, if
you can talk about
you
that.
want to
oh,
talk about
okay,
those
yeah, I
items,
didn't
when
want
we
to
come back in,
load up there.
you'll have an opportunity.
I appreciate that.
Bonnie, could I speak?
Yes.
I didn't get a chance
Absolutely.
to sign in.
Please do.
I just want to say, I don't think anybody here speaks for the entire Hemet community. A lot of the people that I've spoken for are very concerned that the city manager has not brought in new business, has not provided the leadership for the community that he was asked to provide. That's it.
Anybody else want to speak?
Is it the city manager's responsibility to go out and promote Hemet?
Yes.
Is it his?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But
I thought I read in the city manager's description that he acts at the direction of the council and he pursues your goals. I might add that the city manager, I won't mention the name because everybody gets upset.
I'm sorry, sir, if you have a comment, you can make that at the next part.
Okay,
This is
yeah.
an interactive dialogue, but we want everybody to have their opportunity to have a say. This is just about going into closed session. We'll be coming back. You can make all your comments on the substantive item that you want to talk about then.
That was very kind of you, sir.
We'll recess now to closed session.
There was somebody else that wanted to speak, sorry.
Yes, hi, Karina Hernandez, 596 Onyx Avenue in Hemet. Just to clarify, since you made the comment of that he hasn't met the needs according to you or other members of Hemet, but 16 months isn't long. There's members that have been on the council for 8 years, so to expect someone to bring in so much businesses in 16 months is not fair.
Can't ask the city manager to put a ribbon on the pig.
Okay, we'll recess into closed session.
So if you want to speak on the public item, wait here. We'll be back in a little bit.
Robert.